Việt Nam có đường bờ biển dài hơn 3.260 km, có tiềm năng to lớn để trở thành một quốc gia mạnh về biển và thích ứng với biến đổi khí hậu. Đồng thời xây dựng một nền kinh tế biển bền vững và có khả năng phục hồi sẽ là nền tảng quan trọng cho sự phát triển của Việt Nam. 28 trên 63 tỉnh thành phố trực thuộc Trung ương có biển. Việt Nam có 12 huyện, thành phố đảo với hơn 3.000 đảo lớn nhỏ. Khoảng 25 loại hệ sinh thái biển là ngôi nhà của hàng nghìn loài sinh vật biển và là nơi nương tựa sinh kế của gần 20 triệu dân. Vùng biển Việt Nam gần các tuyến hàng hải quốc tế quan trọng hàng đầu trong khu vực châu Á-Thái Bình Dương, một khu vực có tốc độ phát triển kinh tế cao và kết nối giữa nhiều cường quốc. Đây là điều kiện thuận lợi để phát triển ngành hàng hải, công nghệ tàu thủy và logistics. Hơn 100 vị trí có thể xây dựng các cảng biển lớn và phát triển các khu kinh tế ven biển. Biển Việt Nam cũng phong phú với 35 loại hình khoáng sản và nguồn lợi hải sản với trữ lượng cá khoảng 5 triệu tấn một năm. Việt Nam có hơn 120 bãi biển và nhiều bãi biển được đánh giá là điểm đến du lịch đẹp nhất thế giới.
Tiềm năng cho phát triển về du lịch, dịch vụ, đấy là ngành thứ nhất. Ngành thứ hai là kinh tế hàng hải. Ngành thứ ba là ngành khai thác dầu khí, khai thác và chế biến dầu khí cũng như là các cái khoáng sản ở trong biển. Ngành thứ tư là ngành nuôi trồng thủy sản. Và thứ năm là công nghiệp ven biển và thứ sáu là cái điện gió ngoài khơi. Thì các cái nguồn năng lượng tái tạo, nguồn năng lượng sạch thì cái bản chất của phát triển bền vững là vừa phát triển, vừa đạt được những mục tiêu phát triển, cung ứng được cho các cái hàng hóa dịch vụ cho xã hội nhưng mà mình vẫn phải giữ được cái môi trường và duy trì được cái khả năng hồi phục của cái nguồn tài nguyên đó.
Trung bình tăng trưởng tổng sản phẩm trên địa bàn GDP ở các địa phương ven biển Việt Nam cao hơn so với cả nước khoảng 1,5% và chiếm hơn 60% GDP cả nước. Một số ngành kinh tế biển đã có bước phát triển mạnh trong những năm qua như du lịch biển, đảo, thủy sản, phát triển các khu kinh tế ven biển, giao thông ven biển. Du lịch biển đảo thu hút hàng triệu du khách quốc tế mỗi năm và đóng góp khoảng 70% doanh thu ngành du lịch cả nước. Cả nước có 18 khu kinh tế ven biển, thu hút được những dự án đầu tư lớn, có doanh thu lên tới hàng chục tỷ đô la Mỹ. Hệ thống cảng biển phát triển mạnh cả về quy mô và số lượng. Đến nay, cả nước đã có 45 cảng biển, trong đó có 3 cửa ngõ quốc tế. Tuy nhiên, kinh tế biển Việt Nam chưa phát triển tương xứng với tiềm năng. Việc khai thác sử dụng nguồn tài nguyên biển chưa hiệu quả, hạ tầng chưa tương xứng và đồng bộ, mức sống của dân cư vùng biển vẫn còn chênh lệch.
It's estimated that all coastal provinces at this stage collectively contribute about 50% to GDP. So this is significant, and the development of the blue economy in a way that will be sustainable and a way that will enable climate vulnerable communities to adapt will be vitally important. And this will be for the future of people and also for the future of the economy. And in this context, we find that multi-sectoral planning becomes very important to make sure that there's a balanced development between the various different sectors that I've just outlined. The third area I would highlight, very important for making a contribution to a just energy transition, is what we call marine spatial planning. And marine spatial planning enables to value life underwater and life close to the shore and helps to plan.
Norway and Vietnam share the same objective of combating climate change and promoting healthy and productive oceans. For Norway, climate change is a key priority in our development cooperation. We have both announced increased climate commitments. Now we need to focus on the implementation and building partnerships that can deliver.
Việt Nam đang hướng tới chuyển đổi sang nền kinh tế xanh và kinh tế biển bền vững. Các chính sách đáng chú ý bao gồm Chiến lược quốc gia về tăng trưởng xanh đến năm 2020 và Nghị quyết 36, Chiến lược phát triển bền vững nền kinh tế đại dương của Việt Nam đến năm 2030, tầm nhìn đến năm 2045. Ưu tiên các ngành sử dụng tiết kiệm tài nguyên như du lịch hàng hải và các ngành tập trung vào năng lượng tái tạo, các ngành kinh tế biển mới, công nghệ mới và phát triển bền vững. Việt Nam còn rất nhiều việc cần phải làm để chuyển đổi sang nền kinh tế biển bền vững, cần tiếp tục xây dựng và hoàn thiện các chính sách chuyển đổi nền kinh tế biển, đồng thời thu hút các nguồn lực đầu tư trong và ngoài nước khi Việt Nam nỗ lực xây dựng nền kinh tế biển có khả năng chống chịu và khai thác tối đa tiềm năng to lớn của một quốc gia ven biển. Việt Nam có đường bờ biển dài hơn 3.260 km, có tiềm năng to lớn để trở thành một quốc gia mạnh về biển và thích ứng với biến đổi khí hậu. Đồng thời xây dựng một nền kinh tế biển bền vững và có khả năng phục hồi sẽ là nền tảng quan trọng cho sự phát triển của Việt Nam. Hai mươi 8 trên 63 tỉnh thành phố trực thuộc Trung ương có biển. Việt Nam có 12 huyện, thành phố đảo với hơn 3.000 đảo lớn nhỏ. Khoảng 25 loại hệ sinh thái biển là ngôi nhà của hàng nghìn loài sinh vật biển và là nơi nương tựa sinh kế của gần 20 triệu dân. Vùng biển Việt Nam gần các tuyến hàng hải quốc tế quan trọng hàng đầu trong khu vực châu Á-Thái Bình Dương, một khu vực có tốc độ phát triển kinh tế cao và kết nối giữa nhiều cường quốc. Đây là điều kiện thuận lợi để phát triển ngành hàng hải, công nghệ tàu thủy và logistics. Hơn 100 vị trí có thể xây dựng các cảng biển lớn và phát triển các khu kinh tế ven biển. Biển Việt Nam cũng phong phú với 35 loại hình khoáng sản và nguồn lợi hải sản với trữ lượng cá khoảng 5 triệu tấn một năm. Việt Nam có hơn 120 bãi biển và nhiều bãi biển được đánh giá là điểm đến du lịch đẹp nhất thế giới.
Tiềm năng cho phát triển về du lịch, dịch vụ, đấy là ngành thứ nhất. Ngành thứ hai là kinh tế hàng hải. Ngành thứ ba là ngành khai thác dầu khí, khai thác và chế biến dầu khí cũng như là các cái khoáng sản ở trong biển. Ngành thứ tư là ngành nuôi trồng thủy sản. Và thứ năm là công nghiệp ven biển và thứ sáu là cái điện gió ngoài khơi. Thì các cái nguồn năng lượng tái tạo, nguồn năng lượng sạch thì cái bản chất của phát triển bền vững là vừa phát triển, vừa đạt được những mục tiêu phát triển, cung ứng được cho các cái hàng hóa dịch vụ cho xã hội nhưng mà mình vẫn phải giữ được cái môi trường và duy trì được cái khả năng hồi phục của cái nguồn tài nguyên đó.
Trung bình tăng trưởng tổng sản phẩm trên địa bàn GDP ở các địa phương ven biển Việt Nam cao hơn so với cả nước khoảng 1,5% và chiếm hơn 60% GDP cả nước. Một số ngành kinh tế biển đã có bước phát triển mạnh trong những năm qua như du lịch biển, đảo, thủy sản, phát triển các khu kinh tế ven biển, giao thông ven biển. Du lịch biển đảo thu hút hàng triệu du khách quốc tế mỗi năm và đóng góp khoảng 70% doanh thu ngành du lịch cả nước. Cả nước có 18 khu kinh tế ven biển, thu hút được những dự án đầu tư lớn, có doanh thu lên tới hàng chục tỷ đô la Mỹ. Hệ thống cảng biển phát triển mạnh cả về quy mô và số lượng. Đến nay, cả nước đã có 45 cảng biển, trong đó có 3 cửa ngõ quốc tế. Tuy nhiên, kinh tế biển Việt Nam chưa phát triển tương xứng với tiềm năng. Việc khai thác sử dụng nguồn tài nguyên biển chưa hiệu quả, hạ tầng chưa tương xứng và đồng bộ, mức sống của dân cư vùng biển vẫn còn chênh lệch.
It's estimated that all coastal provinces at this stage collectively contribute about 50% to GDP. So this is significant, and the development of the blue economy in a way that will be sustainable and a way that will enable climate vulnerable communities to adapt will be vitally important. And this will be for the future of people and also for the future of the economy. And in this context, we find that multi-sectoral planning becomes very important to make sure that there's a balanced development between the various different sectors that I've just outlined. The third area I would highlight, very important for making a contribution to a just energy transition, is what we call marine spatial planning. And marine spatial planning enables to value life underwater and life close to the shore and helps to plan.
Norway and Vietnam share the same objective of combating climate change and promoting healthy and productive oceans. For Norway, climate change is a key priority in our development cooperation. We have both announced increased climate commitments. Now we need to focus on the implementation and building partnerships that can deliver.
Việt Nam đang hướng tới chuyển đổi sang nền kinh tế xanh và kinh tế biển bền vững. Các chính sách đáng chú ý bao gồm Chiến lược quốc gia về tăng trưởng xanh đến năm 2020 và Nghị quyết 36, Chiến lược phát triển bền vững nền kinh tế đại dương của Việt Nam đến năm 2030, tầm nhìn đến năm 2045. Ưu tiên các ngành sử dụng tiết kiệm tài nguyên như du lịch hàng hải và các ngành tập trung vào năng lượng tái tạo, các ngành kinh tế biển mới, công nghệ mới và phát triển bền vững. Việt Nam còn rất nhiều việc cần phải làm để chuyển đổi sang nền kinh tế biển bền vững, cần tiếp tục xây dựng và hoàn thiện các chính sách chuyển đổi nền kinh tế biển, đồng thời thu hút các nguồn lực đầu tư trong và ngoài nước khi Việt Nam nỗ lực xây dựng nền kinh tế biển có khả năng chống chịu và khai thác tối đa tiềm năng to lớn của một quốc gia ven biển.
2 và tóm tắt nội dung chương trình làm việc của ngày thứ 2. Kính thưa các quý vị đại biểu, chúng tôi rất vui mừng được chào đón tất cả quý vị đến với ngày thứ 2 của Hội nghị quốc tế về kinh tế đại dương bền vững và thích ứng với biến đổi khí hậu. Một lần nữa xin được chào mừng tất cả các đại biểu đang tham dự trực tiếp cùng chúng tôi tại xã Hà Nội 1, Việt Nam, và chúng tôi gửi lời chào đặc biệt tới tất cả các đại biểu đến từ các quốc đảo nhỏ đang phát triển, các quốc gia dễ bị tổn thương do biến đổi khí hậu và các quốc gia khác trên thế giới, cùng với các đại biểu đang tham gia hội nghị thông qua ứng dụng họp trực tuyến hoặc theo dõi hội nghị phát trực tiếp. Tôi xin lưu ý rằng phiên khai mạc sẽ được dịch sang tiếng Anh, tiếng Việt, tiếng Tây Ban Nha và tiếng Pháp. Quý vị hãy chọn ngôn ngữ của mình trên tai nghe có trong hội trường hoặc chọn ngôn ngữ.
Ladies and gentlemen, please select the proper language in the Zoom tool. English, French, or Vietnamese and Spanish. Yesterday we have the important discussion on the blue economy and the security risks related to climate. For today's session, we will focus to another important issue, the handling of pollution and ocean waste, plastic waste. We would like to introduce two co-chairpersons. Madam Phạm Thu Hằng, Deputy Director General of the Administration of Seas and Islands under the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment, Norway. Madam Moda Ahus, Deputy Director General of Seas Management and Pollution Control, Ministry of Climate and Environment of Norway, attending virtually from Oslo, Norway. We also would like to invite onto the stage Mr. Nguyễn Lê Tuấn, Director of the Seas and Island Research Institute of Monterey, to join Ms. Phạm Thu Hằng. He will also be one of our speakers today. And to start today's session, we'd like to invite Madam Phạm Thu Hằng, Deputy Director General of our Administration of Seas and Islands under Monterey, to deliver the opening remarks. The floor is yours. Honorable Ms. Mona Ahus, Deputy Director General from the Ministry of Climate and Environment of Norway, leaders of our Southeast Asia, island developing countries, member countries and developing countries, ambassadors, head of delegation, international organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great honor to co-chair the special thematic session on handling ocean plastic waste, a major challenge of the world. We'd like to express our warmest greetings to you all participating on site and virtually. And also sincere thanks to the Government of Norway and the United Nations Development Program for assisting the organization of this important event. Ladies and gentlemen, seas, oceans is the source of life and the survival space for humanity and foundation for sustainable development. However, it has been facing with lots of serious issues, most typical pollution of waste, especially the plastic waste. Ocean plastic waste is not only a major and complicated issue, but also in the areas of knowledge, of understanding of its formation, disposal, and impact of the social, economic, environmental aspects, and human health. Plastic waste pollution, especially that in the ocean, has become the urgent issue at the national, regional, and global level. Reduction of plastic waste has become the urgent need right now. Ladies and gentlemen, the plastic waste pollution, especially in the ocean in Vietnam, has been paid greater attention into by the government. handling by renovating the legal documents in environmental protection, and also practical activities, for example, the approval of the revised law on environmental protection, including the articles on the management, recycling, reuse, and handling of the plastic waste, and also development of the circular economic model plastic waste, and the National Action Program on the management of plastic waste by 2030, and preparing to join the global agreement on plastic ocean waste pollution. Given the recent activity, especially the General Assembly on Ocean of the United Nations, we need to take the urgent approach in handling the issues of ocean plastic waste. In that spirit, I call upon the participants, especially the leaders of the country, to share the vision and solutions to handle the issues for the recovery post after the pandemic, the specific solutions and roadmap to achieve the global agreement on handling plastic waste, developing the financial mechanism for the plastic waste both on land and at sea. Once again, we would like to express our sincere thanks for the effective cooperation from the Norwegian government and the UNDP to Monterey in particular so far, and also in the process of preparation for this important conference. We wish you a successful conference. Thank you for the attention. Thank you, Ms. Phạm Thu Hằng, Deputy Director General of the Administration of Seas and Islands of Monterey. We now will be listening to Madam Monaha Hus, Deputy Director General of Sea Management and Pollution Control, participating virtually. The floor is yours, Ms. Ahos.
Thank you so much.
Vâng, xin cảm ơn quý vị.
Open this special plenary session on combating marine pollution and plastic. Ending plastic pollution is certainly a key challenge for the 21st century. For Norway, our ocean economy is a key contributor to our prosperity, employment, settlement structure along the coast. It is key to our food security and our health, as it is for many of you. Today, the ocean is bearing the brunt of the three planetary crises: climate change, loss of biological diversity, and pollution. How much plastic can we add this mix of stressors before marine ecosystems fail beyond repair? Plastics production is expected to double in the next 20 years, and plastic leakage into the ocean will triple as a result if no new control measures are introduced. Plastic pollution is a rapidly growing environmental threat and a risk to human health. We are continually learning more about the adverse effects of chemicals associated with plastics and the amount of microplastics in our environment, in our food, and in our bodies. Plastics also contribute significantly to greenhouse gas emissions and may make up 19% of the carbon budget in 2040. Obviously, plastic pollution also contributes to loss of biodiversity. We have all seen disturbing images of marine animals choking on plastics. All through the life cycle of plastics, from production and consumption to waste management, plastics contribute significantly to all three planetary crises. How we choose to deal with plastic pollution will not only impact the viability of our oceans, but also our ability to deal with other environmental crises. We need a comprehensive life cycle approach to plastics. And we need a system change from a linear plastics economy to a circular plastics economy globally. At the first United Nations Environment Assembly back in 2014, Norway took the initiative and got support for a resolution on marine plastic litter. Norway has, together with an increasing number of states, pushed this work forward. In March this year, a milestone was reached when the United Nations Environment Assembly, under the leadership of my minister, agreed to develop an international legally binding agreement to end plastic pollution. The UN General Secretary called this the most important global environmental deal since the Paris Agreement. The resolution specifies the mandate for this process. It also sets out a goal of completing the work by the end of 2024. It is a massive job that starts now, but it is possible, we are ready, and we give this high priority. Norway will continue to be at the forefront in the quest to end plastic pollution globally. Together with Rwanda, Norway will co-share a high ambition coalition with the aim of developing an ambitious and effective treaty. We also prioritize the successful cooperation between the Nordic ministers for climate and environment, which will deliver input and support to the negotiation process, while also having projects on the ground in the Nordic region. A key to success in modern treaty making is early and effective involvement of the business community and voices in civil society. Governments cannot act alone in a vacuum. We have heard strong calls for a plastic treaty to level the playing field for businesses globally. A host of ambitious companies are calling for clear goals and standards throughout the life cycle of plastic. It will be paramount to facilitate the dialogue with the private sector to develop the solutions we need to end plastic pollution. The treaty will need to be overarching and coordinated with existing international agreements and initiatives. To end plastic pollution, we need to tackle the problem at the core. We need to reduce the production and use of plastics to more sustainable levels. We must recognize that there are some products that should not be made from plastic, especially products with a high risk of ending up in the environment, but also products containing hazardous chemicals that pose a risk to human health and the environment at large. We need to ensure that the plastics we end up using in society is reusable or can be recycled. And we need environmental sound waste management in order to re-enter recycled materials into the economy and prevent leakage into the environment. Already, there are several 100 million tons of plastic waste in the environment. We must also clean up where this is feasible. This won't disappear, but it will degrade into even more harmful microplastics. The UN Secretary General tweeted the decision to start negotiation of an international legally binding treaty on plastic pollution is the most important environmental deal since Paris Agreement. I fully agree, but the work starts now. There is no time to wait for the treaty negotiations to finish. Norway released our first plastic strategy with a full life cycle approach last year, and we are taking action to follow it up. We will also make it available in English shortly. I really look forward to hearing from all of the distinguished speakers we have with us today to explore how we can scale up efforts and bring an end to plastic pollution. UNEP have been central in this process, and we are dependent on their support in order to facilitate the negotiation in a constructive manner. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your speech.
Xin cảm ơn.
With the global efforts to stop the pollution, plastic pollution, there's no time to wait or no time to waste. Thank you so much. Vâng ạ, và
Ta sẽ thực hiện ngay từ bây giờ. Now we would like to invite the first speaker, Ms. Leticia Carvalho, Head of the Freshwater and Seas of the UNDP. The floor is yours. She will be presenting virtually. Ms. Leticia Carvalho.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me well. Distinguished delegates, excellencies, esteemed colleagues, we are at a pivotal moment in history. Climate instability, biodiversity loss, and rampant pollution are creating an imperfect storm that is undermining the health of our planet, and thus the very health of humanity. As we speak, approximately 11 million tons of plastic pollution, one garbage truck a minute, is being dumped into the water bodies annually, choking our rivers, lakes, ocean, and their wild inhabitants. As well, microplastics are finding their way into organs of the human body and into our bloodstreams. A livable future hangs in the balance. The good news is that the decisions made at the United Nations Environment Assembly this February in Nairobi show that multilateralism, through strong consultation with governments, civil society, and industry, can still help us preserve the balance, and that it can evolve, adapt, and stay relevant to stand the test of time and to not leave future generations to failed systems. This community stands to be a pillar of leadership when it comes to the innovation that will be required to achieve the ambitious vision set forth by member states at UNEA. I'm so pleased you are giving me the opportunity to address you today. And on behalf of the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, I really appreciate the trust of member states and multi-stakeholders in our capacity to convene and set the table for your important discussions. I hope that my remarks will help to unravel some of the complexities of the policy and regulations that will help guide the industry, the civil society, and governments into more sustainable and circular practices through the member states' adoption of the resolution and plastic pollution towards an international legally binding instrument, in particular addressing the marine environment, very important for this conference and for this community. At every United Nations Environment Assembly, since the first one in 2014, governments have adopted resolutions directly addressing the issue of plastic pollution along the life cycle and marine litter across the entire value chain. UNEP has contributed to this work over the years with policy, technical, and communication efforts, a focus on urgency of developing solutions to the global crisis. However, this is the first resolution calling for the development of an international legally binding instrument on plastic pollution across the life cycle and crucially in the marine environment. The gathering of this resolution was described by the executive director of UNEP, Inger Anderson, as the most significant environmental multilateral deal since Paris Accord, and Mona just spoke before me, mentioning the relevance of this statement also for the Secretary General. This is definitely a true milestone in environmental diplomacy. So what does it say? What does it mean for you? And what are the steps to get there? The resolution acknowledges that the high and rapidly increasing levels of plastic pollution represent a serious environmental problem at a global scale, negatively impacting the environmental, social, and economic dimensions of sustainable development. The resolution also acknowledges that the plastic pollution includes microplastics, that plastic pollution in the marine and other environments can be transboundary in nature and needs to be tackled together with its impacts through a full life cycle approach, taking into account national circumstances and capabilities. It stresses the urgent need to strengthen the science policy interface at all levels, improve understanding of the global impact of plastic pollution on the environment, and promote effective and progressive actions at all levels, local, regional, global, recognizing the important role of plastics for the society. It affirms the urgent need to strengthen global coordination, cooperation, and governance to take immediate actions towards the long-term elimination of plastic pollution in marine and other environments, and of avoiding detriment from plastic pollution to ecosystems and to the human activities depending on them. It also recognizes the wide range of approaches, sustainable alternatives, and technologies to address the full life cycle of plastics, further highlighting the need for enhanced international collaboration to facilitate access to technology, capacity building, scientific and technological and technical cooperation, and underlining that there is no single approach, rather than many and several approaches will need to be deployed. The resolution emphasizes the importance of promoting sustainable design of products and materials so that they can be reused, remanufactured, or recycled, and therefore retained in the economy for as long as possible, along with the resources they are made of, as well as minimizing the generation of waste, which can significantly contribute to sustainable production and consumption of plastics. I'm really proud to acknowledge that the resolution appreciates the work of the Global Partnership on Marine Litter, implemented by the United Nations Environment Programme. I would take this opportunity to invite you all to join our Global Partnership on Marine Litter and its digital platform, where members can connect to share best practices and join hands to make all our efforts more effective. All stakeholders have a role to play, ensuring that the ambitions of this instrument proposed are realized. To promote sustainable production and consumption of plastics, to engage in cohesive policymaking and implementation of a blue economy transition pathways that halts marine pollution, thereby ensuring prosperity across blue economy sectors of society overall. To increase knowledge through awareness raising, education, and information exchange. To encourage action by all stakeholders, including the private sector, and to promote cooperation at all levels. To come to the table on a multi-stakeholder agenda. To support arrangements for capacity building, technical assistance, technology transfer, and mutually agreed terms, and financial assistance, recognizing that effective implementation of legal obligations under the instrument will be dependent on availability of capacity building, technical and adequate financial assistance. To promote research and development of sustainable, affordable, innovative, and cost-efficient approaches. To use the best available science, traditional and local knowledge, and knowledge of indigenous population to advance the goals. To sharing and promoting lessons learned and best practices, including those from informal and cooperative settings, and crucially, to help access progress of implementation. The steps that we need to put in place to take us there are really a breakneck speed, reflecting that this is what is needed to meet the moment. So allow me to walk you through the implementing processes for this resolution. The resolution requests the UNEP Executive Director to convene an international negotiating committee in starting work during the second half of 2022, completing its work by the end of 2024. A diplomatic conference of plenipotentiaries will be organized in 2025 with the purpose of adopting and opening for signature the instrument. The resolution further requests the Executive Director to convene an open-ended working group in the first half of 2022 to prepare for the work of the INC. The open-ended working group or preparatory meeting will take place from 30 May to 1st June, kindly hosted by Senegal, with generous funding support from Switzerland and other important donors. The resolution also stresses the need to ensure widest and most effective participation possible in the ad hoc open-ended working group and during the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee itself. Our journey towards ending the issue of plastic pollution is just starting, and we can't wait. Future generations will look at the work of United Nations and the work of industry as either positive forces driving systemic change or yet another institution or another generation failing to deliver on their commitments for a better world. We can't afford this price. In this light, I would like to thank this community, to thank Vietnam for their involvement and enthusiasm in this process to date. This is our opportunity to demonstrate to the world and crucially younger generations that multilateralism is still fit for purpose and that collaborative efforts can tackle the pressing environmental challenges of our time. I very much look forward to write the history with you and to continue to work for the people and for the planet and for our oceans in particular. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Leticia Carvalho, for your sharing. Và
Leticia, I'd like to invite Mr. Axel Bosman from Germany, Federal Ministry of Environment, Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety. Mr. Bosman, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and thanks for inviting me to be part of the conference. I would have loved to join you in person. I hope to do so in the future to get back to Vietnam. It's been quite a long time, and I think time is overdue to liaise again and meet and see each other again. But I see that you have a good audience at your conference, and I will be happy to join the next in-person meeting when possible. I'd like to focus on the international cooperation, on the German commitment regarding combating marine litter, as well as international and bilateral cooperation, especially with the Asian region and Vietnam in particular. First of all, there are 4 building blocks I would see from our side that has been supported, very important for the supporting process. First of all, there is G7 and G20. I will soon focus on these issues, and then, as has been mentioned by my distinguished previous speakers, the UNEA process since its start. There have been extensive work being focused on the marine litter and plastic pollution issue, and I have been honored to be in Nairobi this year and to experience the spirit and the will to move this issue forward since such a long time. And the distinguished Norwegian colleagues under their leadership and chairmanship of UNEA have left huge footprints for the incoming presidents in Morocco to fill in and complete the task of completing the timeline for ending the negotiations by 2024, and we look forward to contribute to this process. Then in the run-up to the Finnish UNEA 5, the ministerial conference, we have been honored to conduct with several colleagues from around the world. And last but not least, our international and bilateral cooperation in funding activities from the German side. G7, G20, this is an issue which has been to the heart of Germany for a long time. So it was in 2015 when we were able to put for the first time the issue of marine protection, marine litter on the G7 agenda. This was then resulting in the establishment of a G7 action plan. And from there on, we had the opportunity to follow up on those activities with several others of the G7 members, just to name a few, Canada and Japan. I have seen in the virtual audience that some of our colleagues, at least from Japan, are there. They're the incoming presidency. I will focus on our current G7 presidency soon. Then we had in 2017 the G20 presidency also continuing the topic of marine litter on this agenda, and also resulting in an action plan which brought a broader audience to the marine litter issue on the international scene. And the current colleagues from Indonesia and their current G20 presidency also are focusing on the marine litter issue and advancing and promoting and strengthening the action plan on marine litter established in 2017. So that's something we are also very happy about it, to see that there's still this movement and engagement going on. In 2019, we established a so-called GNC, Global Network of Committed, also trying to foster implementation on the ground, which is to our view one of the most important things, not only to try to set up ambitious targets, which is core, but also trying to live up to the expectations to implement concrete projects on the ground. With our current G7 presidency and the incoming presidency of the Japanese colleagues, who have during the G20 presidency also laid out the Osaka Blue Ocean Vision, which gives us a horizon and an ambitious target in 2015. We will also focus on having an ocean deal on the G7 level, and this will inter alia again include the marine litter issue, plastic pollution issue, trying, as has been said before, that we cannot wait now and we need urgent action and concrete commitments already now, since also we have this ambitious timeline for the negotiations to finish. There is still some need for urgent actions to combat the current crisis we see, and it's exacerbating, as has been said by my previous speakers. So the time is short and we have to act now, and this is why we at G7 level, at our current presidency at G7, try to foster implementation, try to make commitments, and try to also encourage other colleagues from around the world to step in and take action now. I like to focus a little on the UNEA history as well as the run up to UNEA 5, the decisive moments, which has been laid out by Leticia Cavallo before. There has been, since the very start of UNEA 1, a focus on marine protection, especially also marine litter and plastic pollution. We're starting with a resolution at UNEA 1, followed up by a second one at UNEA 2, and then probably one of the decisive moments when we started at UNEA 3 to establish an open-ended expert group on marine litter and microplastics. which then got extended by a second resolution at UNEA 4 and resulting in additional 2 sessions of this so-called AHEC. We had the honor to, under our EU presidency in 2020 and under the able leadership of the Japanese colleagues, Satoru Ino, to finish the mandate of this so-called AHEC and laying it down with this chair summary for the first time a option to develop a new global instrument and providing those options to UNEA 5 and then focusing on the next steps to come. As has been said, there have been many processes which promoted the issue of marine litter and microplastics. So we had the opportunity also together with other colleagues to host like-minded meetings of committed countries promoting the issue of marine litter and plastic pollution, to be on the agenda, to be ambitious about those issues. There has been
1 minute. We have 1 minute left. Sorry.
I will speed up a little. There has been extensive work by NGOs as well as others to also announce the initiative we have been able to conduct with colleagues from all over the world, from Ecuador, from Ghana, from Vietnam, in the follow-up of UNEA 5.1 to host a ministerial conference, which ended with the support of UNEP and WTO to happen in Geneva with the attendance of over 200 people, first time in person for a long time, with attendance.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're running out of time. I hope that we can have more time and so you can share it later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Xin cảm ơn tiến sĩ Asel.
Về phần trình bày vừa rồi.
Now like to invite Mr. Nguyễn Lê Tuấn, Director of the Vietnam Seas and Islands Research Institute under Monterey, to deliver his presentation. Honorable Madam Mona Ahots, Deputy Director General, Ministry of Environment and Climate of Norway, leaders of the small island developing countries and member states of the Vulnerable Countries Forum, heads of delegation, representatives of international organizations, financial institutions, ambassadors, research representatives, researchers, Ms. Phạm Thu Hằng, Deputy Director General of Administration of Seas and Islands. I'd like to represent the Seas and Islands Research Institute to present to you on ocean plastic waste and its handling. The handling of a major challenge of the 21st century. I will have 2 parts in my presentation: the current status and its efforts, the related efforts in Vietnam. Secondly, the challenges posed to Vietnam and maybe also to some other countries in the world. And also some kind of recommendations to overcome the challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, plastic ocean waste pollution in particular and marine environmental pollution in general has become a global issue paid great attention to by the governments, international scientists, and all the people in the world. And as the previous speakers have mentioned, especially during the opening remarks by Ms. Phạm Thu Hằng and Madam Hus, we have seen the impact of ocean plastic waste pollution on marine creatures. We have mentioned plastic. Yeah, we have mentioned plastic pollution. It has been really serious, but the transportation of the plastic waste to the seas and other physical impact, they will become micro plastics and even nano plastics, which will have the major impact on all of the ecosystem and even entering the food chain and impacting on the human's health. And there have been more and more regional declarations and so the appeals for global actions to eradicate these issues. We can take, for example, first, in April 2019, the environmental and climate change environment of Nordic countries, Norway, Denmark, Finland, Greenland, Sweden, and Iceland issued a communique to call for a global agreement against ocean plastic waste and also microplastics. Microplastics and even now the nano plastics will have severely impacting the ecosystem. And in June 2019, 10 ASEAN nations issued Bangkok declarations on the action framework against ocean plastic waste. In March 2020, the EU has the action plan, the new action plan for circular economy. You see, this is a global issue, so it would require global approaches as well. For the first step is to have a kind of a global agreement on plastic with the expectations to handle the issues of seas and islands and ocean in the past, where we had the UNCLOS. So for handling the issues of ocean plastic waste pollution, we are heading towards, we should have such a kind of agreement. In parallel with that, the efforts to accelerate the shifting into circular economy, especially circular economy for plastic products, has also been a major initiative and effort of countries worldwide so far. In Vietnam, the report on the current status of seas and islands environment of Vietnam in the period of 2016-2020, launched by the Monterey Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment, provided some kind of data and statistics of the plastic consumption per capita in Vietnam increased from 3.8 kilo per person per year in 1990 to 54 kilo per person per year in 2018. The use of plastics per capita, and it is estimated that more than 37% are the packaging, 29% are household goods, the disposal and littering, and also the disposals of the littering and the disposal from socio-economic activities, and also a high amount of plastics coming to Vietnamese beaches, islands from other from the seas of other countries. Such situation has been alarming in Vietnam's coastal areas and seas and islands. Given the domestic and international context, the Vietnamese government has been quite proactive in participating in the common process of the world. with the sense of responsibility with the rich international community. For example, in 2017, it joined 127 countries which approved the resolution of the UNDP on ocean plastic waste and microplastic. And in 2018, in the G7 summit in Canada, the Prime Minister of Vietnam made a commitment of action and called for the global cooperation in handling the plastic waste in the sea. In 2019, Vietnam issued a national action plan on the management of ocean plastic waste. It issued a national action plan. In Southeast Asia, Vietnam and Indonesia were the leading countries in issuing such action plans, with decision 1746 of the Prime Minister, in which it specified the specific solutions, 5 specific solutions to reduce and manage the plastic waste in the ocean. In line with Vietnam's strategy of sustainable ocean economy by 2030 and vision to 2045. And the ministries and sectors also launched lots of campaigns against plastic waste. Agencies, enterprises, especially those in the plastic industry, made commitments to have the kind of practical activities to reduce plastic waste. And in 2020, Vietnam was proactive and active in participating in bilateral and multilateral dialogues to discuss the optimal solutions and develop the potential mechanisms to enhance international cooperation in handling the ocean plastic pollution. In essence, this is a kind of global issue, and for environment, which is some kind of interoperable across a large spatial area across the globe. In 2021, the Prime Minister of Vietnam issued a decision to approve the scheme or the plan or the project of Vietnam actively participating in the drafting of the global agreement on ending ocean plastic waste. That is a step to concretize Vietnam's commitment. In line with the statistics so far, the partners network and the network of stakeholders on plastic waste has about more than 70 projects and programs in 19 out of 28 coastal provinces and in Vietnam, boosting the cooperation, demonstrating the radical views and also the strong commitments of Vietnam, and turning the resolutions and policies in the National Action Plan into specific actions to realize the target provided by the National Action Plan. That is the contents are related, first of all, to the current status of plastic ocean waste pollution and Vietnamese government's efforts so far. The second part is related to the challenges of Vietnam and the world in handling this issue. As presented with many channels, we see that in countries in the world, in NGOs, intergovernmental agencies, there have been kind of somehow legal binding stipulations to handle the ocean plastic waste. However, it remains that the amount of waste keeps increasing in line with the statistics of the Global Plastic Association, as well as the inventory and measurements of research institutes or policy advisory institutes. The plastic waste keeps increasing, and thus the plastic waste to the sea has also been on the rise. So we are facing a challenge that there are policies and evidence and actions which are very specific. However, the reduction has not been fundamental. The reduction has not been impressive. It has been such a challenge for the management. So we would like to say about some solutions. First of all, we need to analyze the challenges. Analyzing the challenges, we see that the current instruments are still limited. The implementation is a lack of synchronicity and cohesion. Which is one of the challenges, and for that we need to provide standards. We need to provide technical rationally technical foundations so that we can carry out well, apply well the system of policies, including the international regulations. For example, in Vietnam's seas, we need not only the technical regulations applied unanimously in Vietnam, but also for other countries around the East Sea or the South China Sea.
And secondly, the difference between the legal framework and lack of effective measures to be taken. And together with that, we need to provide sanctions and also punishments, especially to enforce rules and regulations better. And we still do not have concrete and effective punitive measures or sanctions, and especially I mean the penalties or the punishments, especially highlighting the role and responsibilities of the producers and the users, etc. And also they must be deterrent or threatening in nature, so as to prevent the pollution discharge better. And the national initiatives and international initiatives are numerous, but how to localize them to be realized? That is a big question, especially to ensure the synchronous or the good or effective alignment of those measures in order to have synergy or synergic implementation, especially to bring rules and regulation and policies, translate them into life. And the next one is to share information. We need to do a better job of information sharing, especially we have a different framework and therefore the lack of information sharing is still a big problem, and we need to improve this. That's the third solution. And the fourth one is to improve the mechanism for supervision, reporting, and implementation, and monitoring and supervision reporting job need to be done better. And we need to have in place a working mechanisms for such mechanisms. And also we need to take the efforts made by various countries and to well align them. And number 5, and the fifth one, we still there is a lack of recognition of the global nature of the plastic and ocean plastic waste, which requires a global approach. And the life cycle of plastic from production, trade and consumption to plastic waste management has a global scale. Every country has a different regulations and standards for handling plastic and plastic waste according to the specific legal conditions, characteristic of their own. And this leads to the fact that the production, consumption and trade and management of plastic waste and plastic waste recovery are still inadequate and unsuitable, unsustainable from the global perspective. And this should be taken into due attention. And there are still no shortcomings that cause instability or insustainability, especially when we convert the linear economy into a recycled economy. And for Vietnam, apart from the national plan, the national action plan, Vietnam now has a project in the process of the developing of development, and that will be. This is a very very big project, and the process for the preparation of this project, we see that the idea of recycle economy has been taken into consideration, and also taking and learning the lessons from good and best practices from other countries to adapt to Vietnam, to be adapted to Vietnam. And finally, for the past 2 years and recently, Vietnam and the world has been facing a very devastating COVID-19 pandemic, affecting all aspects of life and also threatening seriously the human life and health. And to go along with that, there has been a huge amount of medical waste and litter discharged to the environment, and also including a lot of plastic litter discharged to the environment. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I would like to share with you. And hopefully my presentation will be useful for you to a certain extent, especially dealing with a very huge and big global issue of this special plenary of this conference. Thank you very much, Mr. Nguyễn Lê Tuấn, for your excellent presentation concerning the how to address the ocean plastic pollution problem. And I would like to extend our sincere thanks to all the speakers who share with us such presentations. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us. Micro Indonesia, Japan, the Philippines, Ghana, and Haiti. And to start with, we would like to invite Mr. Andrew from Micronesia, a representative from this country, to deliver a speech or presentation.
Thank you very much, moderator.
Xin rất cảm ơn.
Can you hear us?
Không biết là có nghe được không? Yes, we can, loud and clear.
Thank you very much.
Xin cảm ơn.
Excellent.
Kính thưa quý vị.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Kính thưa các vị chủ tọa.
I'm honored to participate in this ocean conference to discuss the state of our ocean and share our story. At the outset, I would like to extend my appreciation to Vietnam for inviting
đối tác cũng đã hội nghị quan trọng này. Về phương diện này, tất cả chúng tôi thì khác nhau, đặc biệt là có liên địa lý, và đồng thời cái cơ quan của chúng tôi thì cũng đã được rất nhiều, đặc biệt là liên quan đến các cái nghị quyết của Liên Hợp Quốc và cơ quan.
In reaffirming its commitment to address issues surrounding our ocean. In fact, FSM has joined its international and regional partners to support a legally binding agreement on plastic pollution. Although the treaty will not be in place sooner than we anticipate, it is hoped that its implementation will bring us one step closer to our goal to minimize plastic waste. Like other sister island states in the Pacific and elsewhere, FSM is facing challenges that require the collaboration of our countries. Consequently, many of our islands have put in policies to ban single plastic bags. More importantly, our Pacific Islands Forum leaders recognize waste management, in particular the problem of marine pollution and plastic pollution, as a priority. This has resulted in FSM's efforts to localize SDGs in its national planning and budget processes to support the development of activities in our strategic development plan. In particular, my government has prioritized 4 indicators under SDG 14, with fisheries as a key sector for economic development and subsistence livelihoods. The sustainable blue economy is central to SDG 14, and my government has moved forward to act on the Declaration on Preserving Maritime Zones in the Face of Climate Change-related sea level rise, issued by the Pacific Island Forum leaders, by considering to maintain our maritime zones and resource rights as guaranteed under the UNCLOS. FSM is one of the member countries of the Secretariat of the Pacific Regional Environment Program, in which Pacific Island countries and territories are implementing the Pacific Regional Action Plan to minimize marine litter. Furthermore, the Pacific Oceanscape, a framework to conserve and sustainably manage our ocean, has been created to address ocean and its biodiversity conservation, which FSM is a part. According to UNEP, about 80% of marine litter comes from land sources, while the remaining 20% comes from marine sources. In fact, it has been established that 40% of the world's ocean surface is plastic. In the FSM, marine plastic pollution is being addressed by not just the government, but by our private sectors, women, youth, children, and communities that recognize the importance of our ocean. Since recently, our government implemented a ban on the importation of one-time use items, which includes plastic shopping bags, food plastic containers, and styrofoam products. This is a step towards minimizing plastic waste. Additionally, our waste management systems are under scrutiny in order to ensure a sound environmental management of the various types of waste. In fact, the 5 governments in the FSM have identified and enhanced 5 main components to address waste management. And they include, first, the strengthening of policies, second, enhanced awareness of the 3 Rs, third, promotion of sustainable landfill systems, fourth, efficient collection and disposal systems, and fifth, active recycling systems. It is projected that the work to address waste issues through these 5 components will be enhanced and improved and will effectively contribute to the minimization of marine plastic pollution. Furthermore, marine, coastal, shoreline cleanup efforts have been initiated and are ongoing throughout the FSM, because every time an area has been cleaned, the tides and waves bring in another set of marine plastic pollution. Frequent dumping of waste and debris into the ocean has led to an increase in marine pollution. We know that marine plastic pollution is a type of marine pollution by plastics that can be large original products such as bags and bottles, to microplastics, which are formed from the fragmentation of plastic material. We have witnessed visible impacts of plastic debris from the suffocation and the entanglement of many marine species. We know that plastic pollution is a threat to human health, food and water safety, coastal tourism, and also is a contributing factor to climate change. Consequently, the 7th Our Oceans Conference, which was held in Palau last month, concluded with 401 commitments as a testament that a healthy ocean is important for all and further actions must be implemented. My colleagues and friends, no man is an island. No single solution will stop marine plastic pollution. Our international collaboration is necessary. Therefore, as friends of the ocean, we must support legislation to control plastic production and waste. We must support organizations addressing plastic pollution. We must support proper recycling efforts. We must reduce, reuse, and recycle. In unison, we must say no to plastic and strengthen our commitment to concrete and significant actions to protect our ocean. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Andrew Yattelman, for your sharing.
To continue, we have the pleasure to invite Mr. Kobayashi from Japan. Mr. Kobayashi.
I'd like to thank the UNDP and the Government of Norway for organizing this event. It is my great honor and privilege to share with you Japan's priorities in tackling this key challenge of plastic pollution. Taking this opportunity, I would also like to mention that we regard highly of the government of Vietnam's initiative on this matter, especially on the co-organization of the Ministerial Conference on Marine Litter and Plastic Pollution held last September in Geneva, along with Ecuador, Germany, and Ghana. Japan joined many countries in endorsing the ministerial declaration calling for a robust agreement at UNEA 5.2. Plastic pollution in marine and other environments has become an urgent issue facing all countries. To promote global efforts to address this, Japan took the initiative to share the Osaka Blue Ocean Vision at the 2019 G20 Summit to aim to reduce additional pollution by marine plastic litter to zero by 2050. This vision is now shared by 87 countries and regions, which is well beyond the G20, and it shows just how much we all care about the health and sustainability of our oceans. That said, a vision would be meaningless if it cannot translate words into actions. So under this vision, Japan has contributed to annually compiling and recording all the measures against marine plastic litter, which has been submitted by like-minded countries. We don't have a global treaty on plastics yet, but we already have a good understanding of what we are doing. Japan is providing support to ensure the steady implementation of these measures. Furthermore, Japan has supported capacity building and infrastructure development based on local needs. We have conducted training programs for over 6,000 people engaging in waste management worldwide in collaboration with international organizations such as UNEP and its International Environmental Technology Center. And speaking about technology, Japan's technology is helping us deliver effective and efficient solutions. For instance, Japan has been supporting projects in Vietnam, Thailand, Indonesia, and Malaysia by utilizing artificial intelligence to monitor plastic litter discharged into rivers to identify from where and how much is carried into the ocean. These projects have been focusing on areas and topics where the world especially needs to rapidly gather and accumulate scientific knowledge, and we intend to contribute to furthering science-based and data-driven policies and measures. With the historical adoption of the UNEA resolution and plastic pollution, countries are doubling down on their efforts. Japan submitted a draft resolution that eventually led to this adoption, and at the same time has enacted a new law to promote the circularity of plastics through better product design, reduction of single-use products, and improved collection and recycling. I'm convinced that Japan's experience will help shape effective plastic pollution countermeasures during the upcoming negotiations. We intend to actively contribute to the negotiations towards an international legally binding instrument that addresses the whole life cycle of plastics and that has the participation of countries that are major producers and consumers of plastics. Additionally, to contribute to the negotiations, the government of Japan has nominated Mr. Ono Hiroshi, Director General for Global Environmental Affairs at the Ministry of the Environment, as a candidate for co-chairing of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee. Mr. Ono has an abundance of professional expertise, has long been involved in the planning and implementation of circular economy policies, including waste management, and also played a significant role in shaping the Osaka Blue Ocean Vision, which I just mentioned. Japan's Prime Minister Kishida stresses the importance of sharing technology and experience at the global scale in order to address global environmental issues like plastic pollution. We will continue to proactively contribute to tackling this issue through treaty negotiations, knowledge building, and international cooperation. Finally, I would like to conclude my remarks by expressing my hope that the discussions among government, industry, academia, and civil society will point us towards a sustainable ocean economy which is free of plastic pollution. Thank you very much. Sinkamun.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kobayashi, for your latest updates on Japan's efforts in solving the problem of plastic pollution.
I would like to invite Mr. Hassan, Deputy General of the Department of Solid Waste from Indonesia, Ministry of Maritime Coordination and Investment. The floor is yours. Indonesian representative.
Are we having connection with Indonesia? Okay. Welcome. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry for being late because what I understood is speaker will speak like 3 to 5 minutes, so I'm so sorry for the delay. Well then, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates and friends, please allow me to congratulate the government of Vietnam who have successfully convened this crucial conference. I would also like to thank the government of Norway and UNDP for their remarkable support in conducting this conference. As a part of the COVID-19 pandemic recovery, sustainable utilization of the ocean is direly needed. And this conference today is a commendable effort to accelerate us into that goal. Excellencies, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, talking about sustainable ocean economy will relate to the issue of marine plastic debris. In Indonesia case, as the biggest archipelagic country in the world, with 6.3 million square kilometers of water and more than 17,000 islands, as well as the second longest coastline in the world, is gravely affected by this issue. Millions of Indonesians whose livelihood is dependent on the ocean through fisheries, tourism, or maritime industry experience economical loss from this increasingly severe issue. Our research in 2019 discovered that in Indonesia, around 0.27 to 0.59 million tons of plastic waste are leaking to the ocean annually, which without strategic intervention might worsen in the future. That having been said, the government of Indonesia has enacted a set of regulations concerning solid waste management from land-based and sea-based activities. As our concern to this plastic pollution, we also have set our national target through presidential regulations that aim to handle 70% of marine debris by 2025. This regulation mandates the creation of the National Coordination Team, so-called NCT, for marine debris handling that consists of 18 line ministries. This regulation also mandates the creation of the National Secretariat of NCT to coordinate and harmonize the activities implemented by those line ministries under the National Coordination Team, in which we are grateful for the Government of Norway and UNDP that support the operationalization of this National Secretariat. Then, to achieve the target, the government has set 5 strategies of marine handling that are embodied by 5 respective task forces. First, national movement to increase stakeholders' awareness. Second, land-based solid waste management. Third, solid waste management on the coast and the sea. Fourth, funding mechanism, institutional strengthening, monitoring, and law enforcement. And fifth, research and development. The government has also taken various efforts to tackle marine debris by promoting circular economy. We have enacted a policy roadmap for reducing plastic by producers, encouraging solid waste reduction and handling as near as possible from the source, foster the growth of recycling industries, and also establish a public-private collaboration platform, so-called a National Plastic Action Partnerships that was launched at the World Economic Forum in 2019. The 5 strategies of marine debris handling and the respective activities have been successfully implemented and resulted in important milestones on solid waste management and marine debris handling. Our preliminary evaluation shows that we have made 28.5% reduction of solid waste leakage into the oceans compared to 2018 level. Excellencies, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, we do believe that efforts from Indonesia alone are far from than suffice to mitigate marine plastic debris issue with its transboundary nature. Countries all over the world need to actively contribute to solve this plastic crisis. And that being said, Indonesia is elated on the resolution to create a global treaty to end plastic pollution at the 5th session of the United Nations Environment Assembly. In the formulation of the treaty, we hope that several things to be taken into consideration. Firstly, the treaty must address the entire life cycle of plastic and promoting international cooperation, while at the same time recognizing national conditions. Secondly, there should be a mechanism for support provisions for countries who request assistance in both the negotiations and implementation of the treaty. Lastly, informal workers have a significant role in plastic economy. This role contains elements of traditional knowledge of indigenous people and local knowledge system, which need to be included in the treaty. Those aspects that have been said are closely related to the efforts of the government to encourage innovation on plastic waste management, which nowadays mostly come from the youth. So this innovation needs to be recognized as set as a success story to be replicated elsewhere. Through the program of Ending Plastic Pollution Innovation Challenge, so-called EPIC, we have identified many innovative solutions to end plastic pollution that can work on different geographical, social, and economic conditions. EPIC is a great platform to gather best innovators to plastic pollution that enables them to meet their fellow innovators and to work together to achieve a common goals. So to end my speech, I would like to welcome all potential stakeholders for collaboration and partnerships in the area of environment, especially on solid waste management and marine plastic debris handling. I believe through collaborative actions, we can give huge positive outcomes for the government, for the environment, and contribute to the achievement of sustainable development goals, which one of them is to sustainably manage and protect marine and coastal ecosystem from pollution. I thank you very much for giving me your time and looking forward to collaborate with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your speech. Còn bây giờ thì tôi xin được mời bà Consolacion Crisostomo, trưởng phòng kế hoạch, chính sách và chương trình của Cục Quản lý Môi trường, Bộ Tài nguyên và Môi trường của Philippines.
Good afternoon to fellow government leaders from our neighboring Asian countries, to our international development partners, and all participants of the International Conference on Sustainable Ocean Economy and Climate Change Adaptation. First, I would like to thank the government of Vietnam and the Norwegian government for organizing this momentous event. The Philippines, being an archipelagic country, has over 36,000 kilometer coastline. It is home to at least 63 million Filipinos who are living in coastal villages. The livelihood of coastal communities, as well as other industries such as fishing and tourism, are especially vulnerable to the negative impacts of marine plastic pollution. In the 2019 data of the World Bank, 2.7 million tons of plastics are generated in the Philippines each year, and 20% of these plastics end up in the ocean. Only 28% of key plastic resins are upcycled. The plastic industry in the Philippines contributes around $2.3 billion to the national economy in 2018. Plastics provide low-cost goods and products to poor and middle-income Filipinos. There is what we call the sachet economy in the country, where the use of plastic in the smaller retail products have become the norm of majority of the Filipinos, particularly because it is cheaper and more accessible and convenient. Unfortunately, the unsustainable production and consumption model has led to accumulation of marine litter. It has become one of the most pressing threats to the coastal and marine environment, particularly in the Philippines, given its archipelagic nature and being the global epicenter of marine biodiversity. This has posed significant environmental, economic, and social costs. A 2015 study named the Philippines as top 3 contributor of plastic waste that goes into the Philippine waters further brought to the fore the issue and urgency to take action. The study found the Philippines to be contributing almost 3 million metric tons of plastic waste generation and about 500,000 metric tons of plastic waste leakage per year. Plastic waste leakage in the Philippines is primarily driven by waste that remains uncollected and low residual value of some plastic waste, with over 80% of ocean plastic waste coming from land-based sources. The Philippine government has put in place key policies, including the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act, the Clean Water Act, the Philippine Action Plan for Sustainable Consumption and Production, among others. But enforcement and harmonization remain a challenge. Various initiatives are also being done by different stakeholders. However, transformative measures are needed to more effectively address the complex waste issue, including plastic waste and marine litter. The policies addressing litter from maritime-based activities are anchored on international agreements, that is, the International Convention for Prevention of Pollution from Ships, or MARPOL. Currently, there is limited coordination across two spheres. Recognizing that marine plastic pollution is just a symptom of a bigger and more systemic problem, the Philippine government launched the Philippine National Plan of Action for the Prevention, Reduction, and Management of Marine Litter. With support from UNDP Philippines, a series of consultation with partners from the business sector, non-government organizations, and other stakeholders was conducted that led to the development of the NPOA. The NPOA on marine litter takes a holistic approach, which aims to prevent and significantly reduce marine litter pollution, foster sustainable consumption and production, and promote a circular economy. It is an important framework that would bring together and reinforce existing policies and enable holistic and collective actions by all stakeholders. The plan has ambitious overarching goal, that is, zero waste to Philippine waters by 2040, which supports the vision of marine litter-free Philippines through shared responsibility, accountability, and participatory governance. The plan of action abides by prevention principle, science and knowledge-based approaches, precautionary principle, polluter pay principle, ecosystem-based approach, and the whole of economy approach. The Philippines is one of the signatories to the United Nations Environment Assembly in Nairobi this year, where we joined other countries to adopt a historic resolution to end plastic pollution, focusing on the full life cycle of plastic products, from production to usage to disposal. Marine litter is a global problem that needs local solutions. The winning innovations under the Ending Plastic Pollution Innovation Challenge are proof that there are existing successful models from our local groups that can be replicated and scaled up if we continue providing them support. The models introduced by Pure Oceans and Trash Cash aim not just to address the plastic pollution, but also to mainstream the circular economy approach to living in an island community. The circularity approach veers away from the business as usual of consumption of our finite resources. We would like to take this opportunity to thank the UNDP and Norwegian government for their support to this initiative, and our partners from the Philippine government, Samal City government, for the steadfast support. May our collective efforts contribute to the region's recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic and drive towards a more sustainable trajectory that is both beneficial for the people and planet. We enjoin our neighboring countries in Asia Pacific in strengthening our efforts to beat marine litter and push for the shift to circular economy. May our collective efforts contribute to the region's recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic and drive towards a more sustainable trajectory that is both beneficial for people and for planet. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Và bây giờ chúng tôi xin mời ông Oliver Boachi, Cố vấn đặc biệt của Bộ trưởng Bộ Môi trường, Khoa học Công nghệ và Đổi mới của Ghana. Hello, Mr. Boachi.
Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in this important conference and to deliver these brief remarks. Now, in view of the time constraints that we are facing, I intend to limit my remarks to just 4 thematic areas that are of common interest between Ghana and Vietnam. And I'll be very, very brief on each one of them. Now, the first is the key challenges that Ghana is facing in relation to marine pollution and plastic pollution and marine litter. Now, as you all know, urbanization and population growth and lifestyle changes have resulted in rapid increase in plastic use, with corresponding acceleration in the generation of plastic waste. It is estimated that Ghana generated an average of about 850,000 tons of post-consumer plastic waste in the last 5 years. And this is a total that is rising annually at the rate of about 5.4%. Unfortunately, the recycling rate in the country is very low, and it's less than 10%. This is compounded by irresponsible consumer behavior, which results in dramatic rise in plastic waste generation. There's also a lack of waste collection infrastructure in our country, and there's also a lack of recycling infrastructure. There is inadequate private sector investment, and so Ghana needs to attract a lot of investment into the plastics value chain in the country. There are also constraints on funding, and the informal sector in Ghana is very, very high. I'm talking about the ratio of the informal sector to the formal sector is very high, about 70% of it. And this makes it very, very difficult to integrate them and manage them in a sustainable way. So what are Ghana's key national strategies and our plans and roadmaps that we are taking to address the challenges that we are facing? First of all, there is a very, very strong policy framework that has been developed by the government of Ghana and is based firmly on circular economy principles and practices. There's also a very strong partnership that we have formed with the World Economic Forum under the GPAP initiative, and has created a very, very robust national plastics action partnership in Ghana. Out of the activities related to this partnership, we have conducted a baseline study of the sources and flow of plastic waste in our environment and where they end up. And as a result of that, we have developed a national action roadmap, which was launched right about 6-7 months ago. We are also right now launching a financing roadmap that will enable us to attract the kind of funding and other financial instruments that will help us to execute or implement the national action roadmap. We are working with the government of Germany and the Netherlands to develop an appropriate extended producer responsibility scheme that we believe will be applicable to the Ghana environment. And through funding from the Global Environment Facility, we are establishing a circular economy framework for plastics in Ghana. We are also collaborating very, very actively with the Africa Circular Economy Alliance in order to develop a regional framework that will make the Africa region an attractive destination for investment in the plastics management value chain. Now, what prompted Ghana to become the first country in Africa to join the Global Plastics Action Partnership? We released a zero draft of our national plastics management policy in 2008. And at the beginning of 2009, the bold initiative that we had taken through this policy framework attracted a lot of attention. One of them was from the World Economic Forum. So after our participation in UNIA 4, we were approached by the World Economic Forum, and through the discussions that we had, the result was Ghana being invited to become the first country in Africa to partner the World Economic Forum under the GPAP initiative. We were ready to respond to that invitation, and we recognized the need for international cooperation and regional collaboration. And that is why we joined the World Economic Forum to establish the Ghana MPAP. So what does Ghana see as the critical next steps in the effort to realize the ambitions of UNIA 5.2, that is ending plastic pollution and achieving international legally binding instruments? Now, Ghana has been involved with the developments leading to UNIA 5.2 and the adoption of the resolution to negotiate and sign an international legally binding instrument on plastic
Sorry
pollution.
to interrupt, but we have 2 minutes left.
That's fine, including in the marine environment. We work very closely with our colleagues from Ecuador, Germany, and Vietnam to convene the ministerial conference in Geneva in September last year. And it's through these efforts that the draft resolution emerged and eventually got adopted. Just last week, we joined colleagues from about 15 other countries in Switzerland to deliberate on the open-ended working group meeting that will take place in Dakar at the end of this month. We intend to continue our active participation in the open-ended working group meeting in Dakar and serve on the Bureau of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee and play an active role in the process. We will continue to provide regional leadership in the Africa region until the international legally binding instrument is negotiated and signed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oliver Boachi. Thank you.
Last but not least, we'd like to invite Jean Pangphan Jordan, Director General, Management of Coastal Areas and Seas, Ministry of Environment of Haiti. The floor is yours.
Government leaders, excellencies, delegates, allow me, first of all, from the outset to congratulate the government of Vietnam for hosting this event, as well as the government of Norway, and also for the UNDP for its support to facilitate the realization of this event. From the outset, I want to highlight the fact that pollution is highly induced because of consumption patterns and the inefficient economic models leading to negative externalities, and as a result, the accumulation of waste. Haiti is considered one of the countries with the greatest risk of plastic entering the ocean. The country generates a large volume of plastic waste in urban areas due to high consumption of treated water, soft drinks, and takeaway meals sold in plastic containers. It is estimated that only 11% of the solid waste generated in Haiti is collected. Most of post-consumer plastic is openly discarded, allowing it to wash directly into canals, sewers, and water bodies. To make a quick reference to statistical data, it is mentioned that globally, UN Environment estimates that 1 million plastic bottles are purchased and 5 billion single-use plastic bags are used every minute around the world. Haiti stands after Cuba as the second place of the countries of the Caribbean islands in terms of coastal zone areas spent. It means 1,770 kilometers on each side. Paradoxically, Haiti is the Caribbean country that produces more waste while having a greater waste collect deficit at the household level. In Port-au-Prince, the capital of Haiti, the average quantity of waste generated is estimated at 6,000 cubic meters per day. Only 30% out of this amount is collected. The remaining portion is dumped into the ravines, particularly when it rains. Fortunately, there have been concerted actions in recent years to address plastic litter into the ocean. For example, currently there are 3,500 recyclers in Haiti, and they bring plastic to one of 20 recycling markets. The situation is becoming more and more aggravating. Small merchants are scattered all over the capital in order to earn a living by offering the population plastic products. In other places, large quantities of waste are seen piling up here and there, obstructing public roads, sidewalks, the drainage network, etc. Fortunately, the importance of collective effort and governance have played an active role in spurring bottom-up approach and concerted approach as well in order to fight this issue at national level. Back in 2012, the government for the first time issued an order prohibiting the production, import, marketing, and use in any form whatsoever of polyethylene bags and expanded polystyrene objects. In 2013, a second decree was issued to prohibit once again importing such products. We have realized that over time, behavioral changes have come on the way because people have learned from the experiences, from the disasters experienced because of plastic waste that has caused several issues in the coastlines where people live, and government also has given ways, has opened ways for incentives so that people can change behaviors. In Haiti, at the organizational level, there is the National Solid Waste Management Services that is struggling in order to find ways to help to fight plastic pollution. At the level of the agglomeration of Port-au-Prince, for example, there is only one space which has been officially designated to receive all types of waste. Due to the insufficient capacity of public actors to collect all the waste, it ends up in different types of spaces according to different logics. In Haiti, plastic waste is collected by local people nowadays and sold to global brands. Local plastic waste collectors receive payment for each piece of plastic collected through an ethically way with the cooperation of the Environmental Cleaning Solution SSR. We have realized that there has been a start of efforts from different stakeholders, including the IDB, the UNDP, the community-based organizations, and the National Brewery of Haiti, BRANA. There has been significant positive returns of such initiative. For example, the removal of waste plastic, the cleaning of waterways, the safeguard of marine life, and the reduction of the amount of new plastics.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but we have 2 minutes left.
Thank you. So, as a matter of recommendation, the government of Haiti has been coming with some efforts to establish a market value chain for collection, recycling, and spurring the circular economy framework, to acting upstream to reduce waste production, fund waste management, and they consider the improvement of communication, marketing, and appropriation of tools necessary for sustainability, enhance environmental education and awareness in order to improve the institutional framework for the intervention of waste pre-collection and recovery operators. So that being said, we thank you for the concerted effort, and with the support of the United Nations, we think that Haiti will collectively devise a way forward for a better future for the future generations, with a better quality of life and the enjoyment of a safe ocean. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jean Van Van Jocnen from Haiti. And before we closing, Ms. Mona Ahus, would you like to say a few words, condensed, to send the messages to our audience today?
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the speakers here, and a special thanks to my Vietnamese co-chair, our moderator, and to UNDP for organizing this special plenary session. I think today we have heard many interventions underlining the importance of ending plastic pollution to avoid significant adverse impacts on our oceans and our human health. The linkages between plastic pollution and climate change and loss of biodiversity are clear. We must reduce production and consumption to solve this issue. I am encouraged to hear that many, if not all, interventions here today emphasizing the need to take action throughout the whole life cycle of plastic. As my distinguished colleagues from Japan, Mr. Go Kobayashi, stated, we must improve product design, reduce single-use plastic products, as well as improve waste management. I would also like to bring back another important point made by my distinguished Vietnamese colleague, Mr. Nguyen, which is the importance of international cooperation. One area we need more cooperation globally is in sharing information on how much plastic is being produced, how much is being consumed, as well as how much is actually being lost in the environment. This is crucial to design appropriate measures at the national level as well as the global level. For Norway, it is clear that we need to scale up our current efforts immediately, while also developing an effective global treaty to end plastic pollution. Thank you all for participating, and thank you to Vietnam for hosting this important conference.
Thank you. Thank you for your closing remarks. Và bây giờ để
To finish our session, we would like to invite Ms. Madame Pham Thu Hai, Deputy Director for Administration of Islands and Oceans of Vietnam, to say a few words. Distinguished Madame Mona Ahus from Norway, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have just been listening a number of presentations presented by various countries and expressing the concern and the importance of dealing and overcoming the marine pollution and marine plastic pollution, or plastic litter. And this is a very important issue, and the outcome to this conference is very significant and meaningful to many countries, organizations, and businesses, including Vietnam, in order to better and to effectively implement the strategies for strengthening the reducing or minimizing plastic pollution or discharge in Vietnam, and also to participate in the World Forum on reducing marine pollution, marine plastic pollution. And this is very important, not just from the point of view of management, but also from the point of science and technology. And on behalf of the administration for oceans and islands and Monterey of Vietnam, I would like to extend our sincere thanks to UNDP and the government of Norway, who have been actively and effectively contributing to the success of this conference. And may I declare this special working session closed at this point. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Now we have 15 minutes for tea and coffee, and then session B1 in Fatsbang room, and B2 will take place in this conference hall. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 15 minutes for tea and coffee. Thank you.
Việt Nam có đường bờ biển dài hơn 3.260 km, có tiềm năng to lớn để trở thành một quốc gia mạnh về biển và thích ứng với biến đổi khí hậu. Đồng thời xây dựng một nền kinh tế biển bền vững và có khả năng phục hồi sẽ là nền tảng quan trọng cho sự phát triển của Việt Nam. Hai mươi 8 trên 63 tỉnh thành phố trực thuộc Trung ương có biển. Việt Nam có 12 huyện, thành phố đảo với hơn 3.000 đảo lớn nhỏ. Khoảng 25 loại hệ sinh thái biển là ngôi nhà của hàng nghìn loài sinh vật biển và là nơi nương tựa sinh kế của gần 20 triệu dân. Vùng biển Việt Nam gần các tuyến hàng hải quốc tế quan trọng hàng đầu trong khu vực châu Á-Thái Bình Dương, một khu vực có tốc độ phát triển kinh tế cao và kết nối giữa nhiều cường quốc. Đây là điều kiện thuận lợi để phát triển ngành hàng hải, công nghệ tàu thủy và logistics. Hơn 100 vị trí có thể xây dựng các cảng biển lớn và phát triển các khu kinh tế ven biển. Biển Việt Nam cũng phong phú với 35 loại hình khoáng sản và nguồn lợi hải sản với trữ lượng cá khoảng 5 triệu tấn một năm. Việt Nam có hơn 120 bãi biển và nhiều bãi biển được đánh giá là điểm đến du lịch đẹp nhất thế giới.
Tiềm năng cho phát triển về du lịch, dịch vụ, đấy là ngành thứ nhất. Ngành thứ hai là kinh tế hàng hải. Ngành thứ ba là ngành khai thác dầu khí, khai thác và chế biến dầu khí cũng như là các cái khoáng sản ở trong biển. Cái ngành thứ tư là ngành nuôi trồng thủy sản, và thứ năm là công nghiệp ven biển, và thứ sáu là cái điện gió ngoài khơi. Thì các cái nguồn năng lượng tái tạo, nguồn năng lượng sạch, thì cái bản chất của phát triển bền vững là vừa phát triển, vừa đạt được những mục tiêu phát triển, cung ứng được cho các cái hàng hóa dịch vụ cho xã hội, nhưng mà mình vẫn phải giữ được cái môi trường và duy trì được cái khả năng hồi phục của cái nguồn tài nguyên đó.
Trung bình tăng trưởng tổng sản phẩm trên địa bàn GDP ở các địa phương ven biển Việt Nam cao hơn so với cả nước khoảng 1,5% và chiếm hơn 60% GDP cả nước. Một số ngành kinh tế biển đã có bước phát triển mạnh trong những năm qua như du lịch biển, đảo, thủy sản, phát triển các khu kinh tế ven biển, giao thông ven biển. Du lịch biển đảo thu hút hàng triệu du khách quốc tế mỗi năm và đóng góp khoảng 70% doanh thu ngành du lịch cả nước. Cả nước có 18 khu kinh tế ven biển, thu hút được những dự án đầu tư lớn, có doanh thu lên tới hàng chục tỷ đô la Mỹ. Hệ thống cảng biển phát triển mạnh cả về quy mô và số lượng. Đến nay, cả nước đã có 45 cảng biển, trong đó có 3 cửa ngõ quốc tế. Tuy nhiên, kinh tế biển Việt Nam chưa phát triển tương xứng với tiềm năng. Việc khai thác sử dụng nguồn tài nguyên biển chưa hiệu quả, hạ tầng chưa tương xứng và đồng bộ, mức sống của dân cư vùng biển vẫn còn chênh lệch.
It's estimated that all coastal provinces at this stage collectively contribute about 50% to GDP. So this is significant, and the development of the blue economy in a way that will be sustainable and a way that will enable climate vulnerable communities to adapt will be vitally important. And this will be for the future of people and also for the future of the economy. And in this context, we find that multi-sectoral planning becomes very important to make sure that there's a balanced development between the various different sectors that I've just outlined. I would The third area I would highlight, very important for making a contribution to a just energy transition, is what we call marine spatial planning. And marine spatial planning enables to value life underwater and life close to the shore and helps to plan.
Norway and Vietnam share the same objective of combating climate change and promoting healthy and productive oceans. For Norway, climate change is a key priority in our development cooperation. We have both announced increased climate commitments. Now we need to focus on the implementation and building partnerships that can deliver.
Việt Nam đang hướng tới chuyển đổi sang nền kinh tế xanh và kinh tế biển bền vững. Các chính sách đáng chú ý bao gồm Chiến lược quốc gia về tăng trưởng xanh đến năm 2020 và Nghị quyết 36, Chiến lược phát triển bền vững nền kinh tế đại dương của Việt Nam đến năm 2030, tầm nhìn đến năm 2045. Ưu tiên các ngành sử dụng tiết kiệm tài nguyên như du lịch hàng hải và các ngành tập trung vào năng lượng tái tạo, các ngành kinh tế biển mới, công nghệ mới và phát triển bền vững. Việt Nam còn rất nhiều việc cần phải làm để chuyển đổi sang nền kinh tế biển bền vững, cần tiếp tục xây dựng và hoàn thiện các chính sách chuyển đổi nền kinh tế biển, đồng thời thu hút các nguồn lực đầu tư trong và ngoài nước khi Việt Nam nỗ lực xây dựng nền kinh tế biển có khả năng chống chịu và khai thác tối đa tiềm năng to lớn của một quốc gia ven biển.